2024 was a really wild ride for me, both personally and professionally. Earlier in the year, my father passed away. Although it was a tragedy, it was a chance for me to go to the States and reunite with my family there. Along the same lines, I've also been rethinking my entire readiness and everyday carry system lifestyle. And somehow I've lost some things, and at the same time I gave away a few pieces of my collection. And mind you, I never sold them. I just gave them away simply because I've been thinking about downsizing my entire collection of stuff and trying to keep just the bare and absolute essentials in my kit. Now, as we all know, a lot of things happened in the past year, and part of that would be the changes that have been, or the transformation that I've been going through, especially when it comes to readiness and the EDC lifestyle, or my everyday carry system. When I was in the States, I hardly bought anything except for this Wazoo ceramic blade and a pilot flask, which I carried with me on the flight coming home to Manila. And these are about the only stuff that I picked up when I was in the States. Except that Glock Daddy 40 gifted me with this Bushnell AAA flashlight and the Boker little friend. Apart from that, I've had no new purchases for the year except for one little thing, and it's literally my dream piece, which is an Alox Victorinox Classic SD. And that's about it. I have not been acquiring new stuff for the year. And I've hardly had, let's say, I'm losing interest in a lot of things right now. As a matter of fact, I've been simplifying my everyday carry system to the one is one, which I've been preaching for a while now. I've reverted to carrying a fixie instead of a folder, backed up with a Swiss Army knife and a flashlight. And basically, that's about it for my everyday carry system. Now, loyal fans of the channel may have noticed that I've been losing interest in making videos, and in general, I've been losing interest in a lot of the stuff related to prepping or survival, particularly the gear. In all honesty, I've not been making reviews simply because this is not a review channel. Although I like to talk about stuff that I've acquired and I've had for several years now. And that's about it. I've noticed that this particular universe is, or the EDC, the prepping universe, is all about gear, all about selling gear and acquiring gear. And a lot of people I know are simply into buying stuff and not using stuff. So maybe in the future, if I'd like to do product demonstrations of how I use my kit, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in people who demonstrate skills and not just the kit. I like videos that teach me something, not sell me anything. it's it's a seller's world out there, and every time I open up my YouTube channel, I get a lot of notifications for stuff that's for sale or stuff that's being sold to the market right now, and I've gotten so tired of that already. So I myself am changing my ways, and somehow over the last year I've veered away from groups and people who are into that sort of business. And surprisingly, it was not a hard move to make. It was not difficult at all to distance myself from groups and people who are superficially into the EDC or the prepping lifestyle without understanding what's going on in the world, or the simple everyday attitude of surviving a working day or a working week. And that's how things have been over the last half of 2024. While I was in the States, I've had a chance to reflect on all of these things, primarily because while I was there, I only had my minimal kit, and that was all I brought with me there. All I had was my half micra and a small jet beam flashlight, and that was practically it. And I learned some things having carried just the bare minimum stuff that I could actually survive. I could get by. I could get through a day with only my half micra and my jet beam mini one with me. And it was also a breeze going through the airport with somehow nothing on you and stuff like that. And this is coming from someone who travels a lot and commutes a lot. I've never had the privilege of driving my own car, so I don't know what it's like to have a full go bag on you in the car. I don't know what it's like to pack a firearm and have it wherever stashed inside. So most of my experience is practical. Most of it is as a commuter who has to travel every day by train, by bus, or whatever transportation I can hop onto to get to where I'm going. That's how my life has been, and that's where I base all of my everyday carry system philosophy. And if you've never traveled by public transportation, then it would be difficult to understand why it is that I practice the one is one concept instead of the two is one thing. So, most of the experience or most of the lessons that I talk about in this channel are based on practical experience, stuff that I've done before and that I keep doing on an everyday basis. Whatever it is that I preach about my everyday carry system is based on practical experience. I'm not doing a mere tabletop of an object that companies might want to sell, and in turn I would make a profit out of it. Manila Sentinel as a channel has been on the air for the last 12 years and I've not earned anything out of it. And producing meaningful content like this takes up some time, takes some effort to do, a lot of resources, and it breaks my heart not to be appreciated that much, but that's the reality. That's one of the lessons that I've been learning having run this channel for the last 12 years, that not many appreciate what I have to say, and not many agree with my thoughts on a whole lot of things, especially on the subject matter of survival and prepping and the EDC lifestyle. So I've learned to accept that, and be that as it may, I still did my best to produce content as much as I could, even while I was in the States using just a phone camera. But somehow the efforts don't seem to be appreciated. So, anyway, continuing with my rant about the community in general. So, I've distanced myself from groups and people who are into the business of selling stuff and not necessarily using stuff. This inspired me to use my equipment more and to look back into the collection and revisited some of my old stuff like my real steel fixie blade, which I've been carrying for the last month. Actually, longer than that, since I got back from the States in July. I've been doing a fixie carry. I lost one of my favorite blades, my CRKT Vox Pete, and that really took a toll on me and hurt me really bad. But it only made me look back onto my collection and pick stuff out and carry them and appreciate them more. Plus, I've downsized the collection. So, as of this time, I'm left with all the stuff that really matters a lot to me. I've been enjoying actually using or reusing a lot of my old stuff, and I'm a little bit happier right now, not having to go through catalogs, not having to go through online stores and window shopping, so to speak. I already gotten rid of that burden, and it was becoming a burden. It created a lot of stress and a lot of heartbreak when you don't find the things that you want, or you don't have the budget to purchase whatever stuff that you want. And that was the cycle for the last few years. And I'm just glad that I got out of that particular cycle and realizing that this is what it is. I'm no longer anxious to get the new stuff, no longer anxious to be part of the in crowd, because in reality, nobody gives a shit. But that can actually be a good thing. Nobody really gives a shit except people who know about EDC, people who know about prepping or survival. These are the only people who would appreciate what you have. And I find it to be an advantage in the sense that I can actually open carry a blade or other EDC stuff and not worry about it too much. I've already conducted experiments going to public places with my kit, using my kit, and nobody cares. Nobody bothers even if I whip out the fixed blade knife or my spider coats or my cold steels. Nobody cares, and that should be an advantage for people like us who are into the EDC lifestyle. But then again, it takes a certain kind of person to get away with that. Not many people will be able to get away with such a feat. But I've been conducting these experiments for several years now, and it's getting worse now. People are bent over their cell phones or smartphones or whatever. It's a general thing. You can see it everywhere. People just don't care. I take that as an advantage to be able to move around the way I should, to have my survival kit with me at all times. Doesn't matter where I go, with very few exceptions. And those of you who know me or are fans of the channel know that I move around the city a lot, and I carry my stuff with me without any restrictions. But then again, there are people who will never get away with it. I guess there are a chosen few who actually would, and guys, you have to accept that. Takes a lot of practice. It takes decades of practice. It takes decades of reading people and knowing how people move, knowing how people look, and having an idea of how people see you. That's the most important thing. And so, what can we expect of Manila Sentinel in the future? I'm still weighing my options. I have some plans for the coming year, as this is the 30th of December as I'm recording this, 2024. So hopefully by next year I have a few projects lined up, a few ideas to play around with for the coming year. I might do some sort of a reformat of the show, but if not, then Manila Sentinel Raw, as I've presented it the last 2 years, is practically coming to its end. This could be both a season ender or a season finale, whichever way you look at it, because I'm still reconsidering my options in as far as the show is concerned and what topics to present, because in all honesty, nobody likes the topics that I talk about. So I'm doing this thing only for those who still appreciate what I have to say. But generally speaking, I'd like to do a reformat of this show to highlight more of the skills, hopefully more shooting, although it's an election year next year, so we can't go to the range for the next 6 or 7 months. Hopefully within the first quarter of next year, I'll be able to do a reformat of the show and hopefully present more topics that would be more beneficial to you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful 2025 going forward with all the shit that's been going on lately. For me, it's more reason to learn more skills, polish up my skills, my readiness skills, survival skills, not necessarily the prepping skills. Hopefully, I've given those of you who are interested, it's been worth your while having watched my channel for so long. I thank you all for having supported Manila Sentinel Raw the last couple of years. And if you're still into this, if you're into the ugly truth and realistic readiness, then please drop your comments down, hit that like button, subscribe. Let's call it my metamorphosis into something else. I hope that I can be a better presenter in the coming year. So thank you all for your support. Thank you for those of you who subscribed, who commented, and hit the like button. I hope to see you guys around next year. And as always, that's been the long and the short of it. This has been Absabando for Manila Sentinel Rant. Have a great year, guys.
510, maintain runway heading, climb 3,000 feet, runway 13, clear for immediate takeoff.